Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today on the Green Programs Info session. We're going to talk about the program. We're going to hear from Lionel, a student at Monash, who's going to talk about his experience. We're just really excited and thankful that you're here wanting to learn about sustainability education and sustainable development. So I'll open this up with a video and then we'll get started. Sweet. Hopefully that pumps you up a little bit, gets you excited about the green program. Hey, welcome. Welcome to your new classroom. The green program, these are probably the three words that describe us as education, sustainability, and adventure. And hopefully by the end of this presentation and info session, you'll understand why we exist and how we hopefully will change your life. Hey, my name is John Rick. At the Green Program, I'm the Assistant Director of Global Enrollment. Basically, what that means is I help give you information about programs. I provide you with resources, and I'm doing a lot of outreach to get people to learn about the Green Program and what we're doing. How my story sort of started was I was studying biology in undergrad at uni, and I ended up studying abroad in Thailand in sustainable development for 4 months. And you can see here me with this cute puppy. I was in the forests of northern Thailand. I was studying the political ecology of forests and basically how are indigenous people and native groups living in a national park? How does that work, right? How are they taking care of the environment, and how does the government and everything connect? So it really helped me on this program understand how sustainable development changes and shifts in different countries and cultures and case studies, right? And I came in with my Western United States understanding of it all, and it was just really humbling and a great learning experience for me to walk away with. And so when I came back to the US, I wanted to continue to push sustainability, experiential education, getting there, seeing it, feeling it, tasting it, knowing it, right? And that's how I landed at the Green Program, since it's a short program and more accessible to students. So I'm really excited about it, and excited to introduce you also to the next person who's here joining us. Lionel, how about you introduce yourself to everyone on the call?
Cool. Hey guys, my name is Lana Wang. I'm currently a third-year student studying civil engineering and finance. This photo was taken in Iceland. I went on the Iceland program in December of last year. I got to learn about, their sustainable energy a little bit. And today I'll just be talking about my experience, hopefully to inform you and answer any questions you may have.
And you got this epic waterfall photo too from it
Yeah,
all,
yeah.
Lionel. This is incredible, man. I wish I was there. It's making me jealous.
Beautiful,
Cool.
beautiful.
Yeah. So, like Lionel had said, our goal is to answer your questions and give you background about the Green Program. So, yeah, basically, how did the Green Program start? Well, you'll see Melissa Lee right there in the middle with that hard hat, the biggest smile on the screen. Basically, in 2009, Melissa was on the Green Program with their friends, or sorry, not on the Green Program, just traveling abroad when the Green Program idea came. And how it came was they were in Costa Rica on the beach, eating great food, experiencing culture, and it was just kind of like a spring break trip. And I'm not sure exactly how it happened, but they found their way to a renewable energy and wind sort of facility. And, they sort of somehow got past the gates into the front door of this facility and knocked on it. And the person who was working there, the industry professional, opens the door. And, they're just like looking around like, what are you doing here, right? These random college students, university students. And they said, hey, like, this is awesome. Can you give us a tour of this facility? And after thinking about it, like the professional was like, well, like, okay, sure. And this kind of sparked what happened where they learned about renewable energy. They learned about the cultural aspect in Costa Rica and how had wind energy developed. What were the challenges? What was challenges in technology, policy, culture, all of it. And they went back and they were like, this was incredible. I can't imagine of us going on another trip without seeing renewable energy facilities and gaining this like real world experience. So the Green Program started then over 10 years ago, and we've been to all these different locations and destinations in Costa Rica, Iceland, Peru, Hawaii, Japan, Thailand, right? Like just places that have really interesting sustainable development stories. And yeah, I guess here I'm just, what is the Green Program though beyond that? Like, what does it actually look like? And, these 5 words at the top really describe it with education, travel, culture, adventure, and impact. So I'm going to take a moment and I want everyone on the call to just introduce yourself, write down your major and write down which of these 5 words is most appealing to you when you're thinking about traveling, study abroad. Yeah, is it adventure, culture, impact? Yeah, I'll give you all a second just to respond to the chat there. Cool, thanks. Yeah, Lionel, I see you. Civil engineering and adventure. Naomi, yeah, okay, about impact. Okay, adventure, education. I totally feel that impact. Great to see some mechanical engineers here. Oh, environmental economics, awesome. Cool, yeah. This is great. Thanks for telling me what's most important to you. And yeah, like on the Green Program, those are sort of the things that is really at the bread and butter of what we do. And in addition to that, like what we also care deeply about is through this exposure and this real world experience to help you gain these skills, these 21st century workplace skills. Maybe you've had the privilege of doing co-ops and internships, but like this is an opportunity for you to practice skills in a new culture, in a new place, in a new environment. So Lionel, I know you're looking at these skills here, and I'm thinking about your time on the Green Program. Of the ones that are at this list, which of these skills do you feel like you developed, you gained, you practiced in your time in Iceland?
Personally, for me, I feel like interpersonal communication was one I demonstrated and practiced a lot of. I definitely benefited and developed it. Particularly as an Australian, on this program, there were a lot of Americans. There's just a lot of stuff you don't relate to, and because you're from completely different places. But everyone was just so like-minded and friendly. It just made it super easy, I guess, to make friends and work with these people. And I feel like of those skills there, definitely the communication skills were practiced and developed.
Yeah. No, I think that's really interesting that, we do have a lot of students that come from the United States, Canada, England, Australia. But the fact that you were in Iceland with a different culture, that you had a lot of students from different backgrounds and cultures, and you're all learning on how to learn more about this topic, this case study of what's happening in Iceland. It's one thing to just be like, I've got interpersonal communication down. It's easy, right? But when you've got different cultures and food and relationships and people on the programs, like I think that's really great that you got to practice that for sure. And I know that I imagine that that's going to like help you in more diverse teams as you move forward as well in the future. That's cool. Thanks for sharing that, Lionel.
Thank you.
Well, cool. Here's the mission statement. Like, what is it behind all of our programs? And, essentially we're finding and trying to empower future sustainability leaders. So if you're listening to this and you really do care and you have this passion and you're trying to figure out, what do I do with this? How do I actually learn deeper? How do I have these experiences that actually inform me to really care and know what sustainability and sustainable development looks like? Like, this is the program where we're trying to find people like you, where we want you to have education, travel, adventure all in one, right? And we really hope that you experience a program that takes your passion, turns it into action, and gives you ideas and solidifies that that's really what you're excited about, Well, here is the model of what we actually do. So it's a short-term program that makes us very different from other programs. It's packed, like 8 to 10 days. You're going to be doing everything that we'll list, coming forward. And yeah, it's a lot. It's exciting, and it's going to be life-changing because it's fast and quick-paced. You get credits from each of these local institutions that you're traveling to. A lot of them are graduate schools as well. And yeah, we focus on the SDGs and try to make this program very career focused as well. That'll be through your Capstone Project and other real world skills that we practice. And we try to make this more accessible. I mean, for me, I studied abroad for those 4 months. I was pre-med biology, and I actually had to drop my pre-med plans because of it, and I couldn't really complete those courses, and it was good. I'm better in sustainability anyways. But yeah, basically our programs function usually over university breaks, at least in the US, and where it applies in Australia and whatnot is over January and December, March, May, June, July, August. So anytime during that time. And we do really care about long-term impact. There's a lot of opportunities for you to stay connected with alumni and other like career building resources that we offer after the program as well. Cool. So I'll talk about the first program about Peru, and I want you to think again as we go through these as different case studies. So yeah, you've got some really cool photos. What's going on here? So, we've got a bit of adventure with the whitewater rafting. Right here is Professor Oscar, who's going to take you to the Incan architecture at Machu Picchu and actually show you and do a field study on how did they actually create these gravity-fed irrigation systems in agriculture. And it's interesting because you're going to study it and you're going to be like, wow, there's so much historical significance. And actually modern day engineers are going back and studying what's going on with like agricultural techniques. But somehow in the community, there is still a lack of access and quality water, right? This is for agriculture. There's water wars. There's a polluted river, and we're going to visit a wastewater treatment facility. When we go to Machu Picchu, we actually get off on the train on a separate stop that only the engineers get off, and we hike up to this hydroelectric dam and facility and learn from the people there that are working there. Like, why do you care about hydroelectric power? Like, how do you see this changing Cusco as a city? And so when you hear it from their perspective, when you see it from their eyes, like you get it. You're like, oh, this is the future of hydroelectricity in Peru. So yeah, this is like one of the incredible programs that if you're excited about culture, impact, we have a social impact in this program as well, where you're doing a local service project. And we developed this program with the mayor of Cusco. So we're really excited about it. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat about any of our programs. But the exciting program that y'all came here to hear Lionel talk about, Lionel, can you tell us about your time in Iceland? Like, where did you see, what did you see, where did you go, what did you learn? Give us the whole experience, man.
Cool. So yeah, last year I was fortunate enough to become involved with the Green Program. And, I was lucky enough to visit Iceland. Never would I thought I would have the opportunity to visit such a beautiful country. So, the Green Program, they actually gave me the ability to study in the top ranked university in the country, the University of Reykjavik. And personally, for me, I found this to be such an enriching experience because it was just so interesting to be able to learn from the professors, about the history of Iceland, hydropower and geothermal power, and really just these systems that have been put in place, to make Reykjavik the world's most sustainable city. And I just found it so interesting to see how the country has utilized, their natural resources to lead the world into a more sustainable age. And I guess this gave me a critical view about what we are doing in our own country, and the distinct lack of sustainable energy in Australia. I would say this program honestly was really hands-on and practical because, the things that we were learning in the classroom previously, we were actually able to see out, in the real world, because we were given exclusive access to a hydroelectric facility. And I remember I found it so awesome because just to see how big everything was and how deep underground the facility ran. We were given a tour of one of the largest geothermal plants in the world. And I specifically remember that this plant was so isolated because, you'd go out the front door, and it was just the most beautiful scene you'd ever seen in your life. It was incredible. In terms of climate change, we were able to see the real effects on a glacier, the real effects of climate change, because of just how it had receded so tremendously in recent years. And I was so shocked to learn how much it really had shrunk, because the difference, it was just so enormous. I definitely say that this program is a must for adventure lovers. I loved it. It gave me unforgettable experiences, once in a lifetime opportunities. I walked on a glacier. I mean, who's ever walked on a glacier before? I was given the opportunity to hike through beautiful Icelandic highlands to a geothermally warmed hot spring. It was so beautiful. I saw the most beautiful waterfalls that I probably will ever see in my life. I went to the Blue Lagoon. I saw the Golden Circle. I stood between two tectonic plates. I saw Aurora Borealis. And I really was able to be immersed into the Nordic and Icelandic culture. The leaders, they taught us a little bit about the language and, the lifestyle they lead when they're not leading the program. Just looking back on this experience, I don't think I'll ever forget it. I just strongly urge you guys, if you're interested in sustainability, or even if you just love adventure, to apply and give the green program a chance.
Thanks, Lionel. No, I really appreciate you just sort of like painting that picture, and it makes me want to go to Iceland like right now. It's also funny, dude. You just described so much that how many days was that you were in Iceland when you did all of that?
I think like 9 days or something.
Yeah. No, that's ridiculous. No, I love it. I think that's awesome that's like everything you accomplished. So yeah, if people have any questions about the Iceland program for Lionel, like please put it in the chat. We'll come to it at the end of the presentation and chat about it as well. But yeah, there are two other program destinations that I want to go over. And Lionel had already talked to us about renewable energy in Iceland and how they are functioning as 100%, or almost 100%, right? And Fukushima is actually really interesting because they're trying to shift towards what is happening in Iceland. So Lionel, I almost like want you to go to now this Japan program to see like how are they shifting, and does that future look like what it does at Iceland, and why is it different? We do have students come on multiple programs, so hopefully you do that in the future, man. But yeah, I don't know who on the call is familiar with what happened in Fukushima back in 2011. If you're not familiar, what happened was there was this huge earthquake caused a tsunami. Climate change is definitely incorporated in all of this. And yeah, unfortunately, it ended up resulting in a nuclear meltdown, which is a really serious issue for the town of Fukushima, the city. And so policymakers and the community were devastated. And actually, there were so many new like sustainability challenges with nuclear waste and mitigation that they had to do. So on this program, what you're going to do is you're going to go and study like what mitigation actually looks like. You see in this middle photo here, the students who are standing underneath the nuclear core reactor, which it's actually a once in a lifetime experience. You can't do this, but because the nuclear reactors are being decommissioned, you can stand underneath and you can actually look up and you can see, and they'll be like, hey, this is what you need to do here. This is why this nuclear power plant did not melt down, whereas the one at Daiichi did. And so it's just like an incredible opportunity for you to be there, now add to your bucket list. Like Lionel went to some of the most beautiful waterfalls. This would be you standing underneath a nuclear core, and really just like understanding why nuclear power plant safety is so important. And if you're an engineer, if you're working in policy, like your design really matters and you have to be taking all of this seriously, right? And so Japan is now, at least in Fukushima, trying to shift to that 100% renewable energy by 2040. And so we're going to meet with different stakeholders. We're going to meet with people at the Japan Atomic Energy Agency, ask them about policy. We're going to meet with the nuclear physicists and be like, hey, what are your feelings about nuclear energy now? Like, are they different? And we're going to meet with community leaders that are trying to bring people back into Fukushima. Because as you imagine, like no one wants to go there. Like there's so many problems now. And they're worried about all of the radiation, and it is safe to be there. But getting people culturally back into that town is really difficult. So you as an engineer, you might not be thinking like, what are the social, political, and economic factors that play into sustainable development. And if you're an environmental science student or someone who's more concerned with like policy, you're not thinking about the technology and how important that is. Mind you, we also go to Tokyo. We go to these incredible cities. I've been to Japan and I've never been to a place like that, food-wise and architecture and everything. So I'm excited for anyone who is interested in the Japan program in May. Cool. The last program I want to talk about is the Nepal one. I'd say this program is for people who really, really want to have hands-on learning and experiences. And so the Nepal program is looking at microgrid systems for rural development. So you'll go into the School of Development Studies. And I mean, I haven't talked about it too much, but the professors in each of these locations are incredible. One of the professors at the Nepal location actually wrote Nepal's energy policy. And so you're going to analyze that role of solar energy and its practicality, its impact on local communities in these rural areas. Because actually, solar is not the answer for some places, and it is for others. So you'll actually see right there in that middle photo, again, that's Sabrina, one of our alumni, and they're standing behind the microgrid system. They actually went through the entire process of designing and installing. And on this program, you're doing a homestay as well. So if you really, really enjoy culture, you'll be staying with a family and another student, and you'll actually experience what it looks like to bring development to a rural area. And you're going to have a really big impact on that community, working with both Kathmandu University and also Give Power, an organization that helps select these communities as well. So yeah, really excited. If you love culture, if you love hands-on experience, like this is the program I would recommend for you. On all of our programs, I already talked about how we want you to really be applying what you're learning. And so that's why we have the Capstone Project. And what the Capstone Project is you get together in your interdisciplinary cohort of people from around the world and from people with different backgrounds. And this is where your passion is going to come into this project. And you're going to have that interpersonal communication. You're going to have that critical thinking and problem solving. And we ask you to pick a real world challenge in sustainable development. Use the knowledge of what you're learning in the communities and classrooms to inform a real entrepreneurial business solution from scratch. So yeah, Lionel, I would love to hear more about what your capstone project looks like. You're given this sort of challenge, like, hey, from scratch, solve one of the world's solution or problems, right? Create a solution. Yeah. So tell us, what was that process like? What was your capstone project on?
Right, cool. So one of my team members was actually from New York City. So we came up with the idea to integrate small water turbines into high-rise buildings, into the pipes. And the purpose of this was to hopefully harvest, the wastewater from all the levels as it falls from each level. So this would just be water, from washing machines or dishwashers and showers. So, as it falls, it turns potential energy into, kinetic energy, and then hopefully into electricity. And the Capstone Project, it pushed us to, research and actually, look up pricings and sizes and stuff like that. So, there's a little bit of feasibility involved. And we actually did manage to find real world examples. So, we found that the city of Portland had already done something similar, but except that they had done this on a city-wide scale. They had integrated these massive water turbines into the city's water pipes. And yeah, that was just sort of like our end goal a little bit, to try to replicate that slightly.
Yeah, no, I love that. And in each city, it will look different. And I appreciate that you like found an example of where that was being done and thinking about how could this be done in New York City, like one of the biggest cities in the world. That's really cool. And you know what's funny too, Lionel, is I don't know if we've talked about this, but a lot of students have taken that Capstone project and actually continued with it as well, doing research with their professors. And actually 2 people from Iceland in the past were studying, biodiesel was another kind of focus. And they ended up going back to Chicago and creating their own company where they are taking restaurant waste and converting it to biofuel, man. And yeah, it's awesome. Like it's doesn't surprise me anymore when I hear that these capstone projects are inspiring new solutions into the world's challenges. So yeah, you're right. There's some feasibility, there's some dreaming, and we want your passion to really be fueling all of that. Cool. Yeah. So talking a little bit about leadership development, we already talked about a bit of adventure, and a lot of the people on the call are excited about adventure. So how does that actually translate to leadership development? How does that expand your comfort zone and foster personal growth? So for you, Lionel, when you're thinking about adventure and culture and some of the things that you were doing, did you feel like your comfort zone was expanded from the green program and, the 8 to 10 days you were there? Like, I don't know, people ask me like, how much personal growth do you really have? And I think the answer is a lot, but yeah, for you, what did that personal growth sort of look like?
Well, in regards to the adventure challenge activity, they can be a physical challenge, I guess, and it's just these little tests in life to help you learn more about yourself. Make sure everyone's doing okay, because it can be a challenge. You just need to make sure everyone's doing okay and just looking out for everyone and just make sure everyone is included. From my personal experience, I had a friend I made on the program. His name was Justin. When we were hiking up to the geothermal hot springs, his pants actually fell into the hot spring and they had frozen over. So he had to hike all the way back in shorts, and it was pitch black and it was so cold. And I remember I just found him so admirable because he didn't once complain. He was just positive the whole time. And I think just like when life throws these inconveniences at you, it really, I guess, test your, I guess, moral fiber and who you are as a leader, I guess. And I really respected his persistence. I guess that's a really benefited my leadership development, I feel like.
Yeah, even just seeing that example, that's wild. I agree with you that when you go to a new place, you're traveling, like you never know what's going to happen, and how you develop that tolerance for like adversity and uncertainty is just like so helpful for you in classes and work and everything. Cool. So speaking of tolerance for uncertainty and adversity, we have some really just answers about COVID, because I'd say the majority of you have already asked me about this. So basically, what is the Green Program doing in response to COVID, and what does this look like? How does it impact us, and how will it impact you with travel in the future? So we're following WHO, CDC, DOS. These are all organizations that are international, monitoring the situation. If a program location, when safe, opens up, then we're constantly communicating with our local partners that are there running the programs and basically trying to evaluate case by case each location. So for some of you though, you might think like, well, when should I apply? Should I apply to a program in March, in May, June, July, August? Like what if the program's not running then? And basically all of our applications are non-binding. So if you do apply and you want to just transfer your application or program, there's no problem. We can do that. So yeah, super easy in that sense. And what happens if your program does get postponed though? So you'll have many options, and we're developing a lot of them as we're speaking as well. So basically I would say the 3 main options that are probably best to talk about is easiest one is just transferring to a future program in a location that's spots available, or maybe it's at a new place. But yeah, basically you can just like transfer to a future program, no problem. Second, you can enroll in the Learn Now, Travel Later course, which I'll talk about in a second. And third, obviously you can get a refund, but the green program will want to work with you to evaluate like every other option first, because we care about this education. We care about experiential education. We know that it's going to impact you, and we want to see you get there. So yeah, let me talk a little bit about Learn Now, Travel Later. And this is basically an opportunity for you to still invest in your personal growth and professional growth, and not feel like COVID is just like weighing you down and preventing those things. So what we'll do is we'll take all of your classes in the first portion, we'll take all those classes online. And so you can study all of them in Australia, and you'll be able to still interact with all of your professors and classmates and engage in that way. So some people would just say to me, John, I really like that I got all of the information all at once and am now able to visit some of these places. And when I do travel, when it's safe, is I like have all this information. So this is sort of a way for us that we've innovated and changed and adapted, and you'll still travel, and actually you'll end up taking more classes than if you were to do it in person. Sorry, Lionel. And you'll also go to the same places and actually spend a little bit more time doing that because you won't be spending the time in the classroom. Cool. Another option and things that we are developing are just completely online programs. So for you, if you're like, hey, my comfort level is I don't want to travel anytime soon, we are developing online courses like this one that we're doing in Nepal. It's actually coming up next Monday. I'm super pumped about it. I don't know if any of you are actually enrolled in it on the call, but it's the ethics of sustainable development. And it's all online. You're reading some incredible works, and you're going to be in a cohort, again, global cohort of people from around the world. And the whole idea here is like, we're trying to engage in topics that maybe you don't go into super deep in some of your classes. So like, I kind of think about sustainable development as a word as like organic. So what does organic mean when you see it on packaging and whatnot? Is like, it's become a buzzword, and it's actually feels like it's almost lost some of its meaning. And so in the same way, like I feel like a lot of companies and organizations that y'all are probably looking into in the future, it's like, yeah, there's sustainable development, sustainable practices. And number one, what does that word even mean anymore? Let's really get back to the root of it. And two, how do we evaluate if sustainable development when is it ethical? Like, I think it's very easy to justify development and just say, oh, it's great for local people, it's great for local economies. But really, like, what does it look like to have those conversations? What does it look like to stand up and be like, hey, like, we need to evaluate the ethics and morality of what we're doing. So we really hope that you walk away with this course is something that really is engaging you in different ways that maybe you aren't in the classroom or you feel like you want to learn more about. Cool. So here's just a couple quotes and awards we've won and just like reviews. Please check out any of our reviews online, see if any of those students really connect with your story. Happy to connect you with Lionel, with all of the other students that have come on our programs. But yeah, I see you reading this probably on the screen, like the best journey for a soul that's craving adventure, one of the best decisions of my life. It's like, okay, great. Like you said that, but like, why? Why is it actually impactful? How does it go beyond just the program? And that's where, we have some of these statistics to show you, like, what is the impact of the green program? How does it impact you long term? So reading this on the screen here, you can see that 95% of people who come on the green program experience that sustainability related shift. So I don't know, personally, professionally, you are more aware of topics and what those conversations look like. You're more confident in engaging in the actual conversations around sustainability. For you, Lionel, I'm curious, did you experience any sustainability related shifts? Were you passionate about sustainability before the program? Yeah, what was that like for you?
Yeah, I definitely reckon the program, furthered my passion for sustainability and, also my assignment for adventure, I would say. When I came back, I was a bit more conscious about the environment. Previously I used to get pre-packaged meals a lot, and it was just a lot of plastic and a lot of unnecessary waste that could just easily be cut out. Also, I think it was very helpful to learn about, water and hydropower because the very next semester when I came back, I was doing a fluid mechanics unit. Also, I think just now, sustainability, it will just be a big consideration into how I make, I guess, professional steps and, ultimately how I make my career decisions.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I think that desiring to work at a place that is sustainable like does make sense, and that is sometimes not super important beforehand. If you're on the call too and you have found during quarantine one way to be more sustainable, I invite you to enter that into the chat. Might as well like all grow a little bit of what we're doing. So for Lionel, you said less packaged meals. If anyone else has any other tips for how to live a more sustainable life while in quarantine, feel free to write those in the chat. I'm just curious too that, I'm trying to engage and even think about that. I know for me, one like super small thing was really evaluating what products do I use that are single use plastic. So for instance, like toothbrushes, if you're using toothbrushes that are made out of plastic and bristles, can you find like bamboo based or wood based sort of like toothbrushes? And there's a lot of really interesting sustainable sort of like self-care, like toothpaste and mouthwash and all these things that avoid single-use plastic. So that's been one that I've been trying to evaluate in my life and try to really change. Cool. Another way that the green program has impacted people, a couple other quotes here. And yeah, basically, when you go on the green program, it really is a unique experience. So for you personally and professionally, you probably walk away being like, yes, this is like empowering and this is what I want to be doing. But actually communicating that to a future employer is just really awesome because Lionel, I don't know what it was like for you, but when you're looking at internships and jobs, sometimes you might just be like talking to your job recruiter or in an interview and they'll say, hey, Lionel, what are you passionate about? And you're like, hey, I'm passionate about sustainability. And they say, great. So is everyone else who we've talked to today, right? Like everyone's passionate about it. Like, what does that passion look like to you, Lionel? How have you taken steps and how have you actually like brought about sustainability and taken action in your life? So for some people, you've probably been able to find that, but a lot of people think that the green program really helps them in that way. But yeah, for you, Lionel, do you feel like professionally, and maybe you mentioned this a little bit about wanting to go down this, but yeah, if you were having an interview or if you already have, like, how do you feel like the green program would sort of help you stand out?
Yeah, as you said, this program, I guess, it allows you to show your passions. Personally, I feel like it's easy to talk about something that you're passionate about. I'm sure a lot of people feel that way. I guess the green program would make me a better interviewer because it helped me develop my soft skills, my adaptability. As for the Capstone project, you're able to show that, you can work in a team and you can and demonstrate your creative thinking skills as well as, having this practical experience, I guess. It gave me the opportunity to work on my pitching skills. I understand that some people aren't very good public speakers, and personally for me, it definitely helped with that. And one more thing, I think that the program, it just shows that, you're able to challenge yourself and that you're just open to a challenge and that you're open to new things.
Yeah, which is super important when you're given new tasks and roles and responsibilities. You're given a complex problem and told to solve it, Yeah, I feel that. Thanks for sharing that. Here are some of the places that Green Program alumni are working. So with the Green Program, you get access to the Alumni Network, which is just a network of over 3,200 plus alumni. So yeah, they're working at NASA, Tesla, Nike, and these are all really big names, and they're working in the sustainability force really, and bringing that and actually impacting the world. So as you all know, like you probably have a good network there at Monash, but connecting with a global audience about people working around the world, I think is just a really incredible thing. So yeah, it's something that all of our alumni will get. So who are the people who you're studying with? We kind of talked about it a little bit already, but we have 400 different universities, 70 different countries that traveled with us, undergrad, graduate, young professionals, recent grads. Every major is welcome. As everyone will find out, is like sustainability touches every single point of our lives. So it's important that the cohort has lots of different kinds of people. And if you're an environmental science student, you're going to be challenged a little bit learning about technology. It's going to be newer for you, but it's going to be really exciting. And if you're an engineering student, you're going to learn a lot about policy, and you're going to learn about the environment. You're going to learn about more social, political, economic sort of factors. So yeah, there's a lot to learn from everyone. And yeah, if you want to connect with Lionel as an ambassador, we have ambassadors and advocates and people that work to try to spread the news of what the Green program is doing and our type of education. And these alumni around the world are always just telling new people about it. Here are some of those universities here on the screen. You'll recognize some. But yeah, those are sort of the people that are in your cohort. And yeah, here are those different programs that you can apply to. It's open to all majors. We have a new online class that is coming out. This Nepal one, actually, the Ethics of Sustainable Development has closed, but we have other 2-week programs that are coming out. It's funny, for the United States, we have winter, spring, summer break, but basically the programs are in either December, January, March, and then throughout from May to August. So if that works for your schedule, awesome. Even if you're thinking about traveling next summer or after that, like, applications are the first step to doing that. But great. Yeah, I guess I wanted to end on a quote here. And I just wanted to inspire all of you and remind you that never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it has been the only thing that ever has, by Margaret Mead. So yeah, for everyone who wants to stick around, we're going to answer some questions. We're just going to hang out. I'm going to check the chat real fast, but also if you did want to unmute yourself and ask a question as well, like, we're happy to have you talk that way. This is super informal. So yeah, I'm seeing a couple questions. I'm just going to go to the one that is most recent. Thanks, Naomi, for asking if any of our programs focus on public health. So I would say the water sanitation in Peru is probably a really great connection to public health. And as you might imagine, sustainability and public health are really, really big sectors. And renewable energy really does impact public health. So everything that is trying to improve air quality and decrease carbon emissions is going to improve air quality and actually, like, help with working towards that as well. So if you want to come at it from a more renewable energy side, I'd recommend Iceland. If you're thinking about how can I in public health make an impact through policy, I would say that, like, the Japan program probably is more focused there. And the Peru one definitely focuses on water. Water is one of our greatest public health issues these days. Lionel, here's a question for you. Naomi also asked, are there any assumed knowledge for any of the programs? Did you feel like you needed to walk in with any information, or did you feel like you could just kind of jump in and not know what was going on?
I definitely didn't know anything that I learned on the program, I feel like. Yeah, I don't think you need any previous knowledge. The content can be like challenging, like academically challenging, but it's not super crazy hard. I would say it's more interesting, I guess, than hard. I got a question in the chat from Claire. She asked, "Did you manage to get unit credits from the program from Monash?" So yeah, as I said, I'm doing finance, and I didn't think to. The only thing I could think about off the top of my head was maybe the Capstone unit. I emailed them after I went on the program, so I wasn't actually able to apply. It completely slipped my mind before I went. The only thing close to credit, I would say, is just your engineering CPD hours. That's that's the only, like, type of credit, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say in general, when you apply, ask me to send you the syllabus. I know that it's already in something we automatically send you, but ask for the syllabus, bring it to your advisor, ask them if there's any way that you could apply this credit. For a lot of people who attend the Green program, credit is an afterthought, mostly because they realize, like, this is an incredible opportunity. But, if you can get credit at the same time, I recommend it. But, having credit from Reykjavik University, Kathmandu University, these other international universities is still very impressive in itself. So you'll get an official transcript from each of those schools. And a lot of them are actually graduate level credit as well. That was a great question, Claire. And I think Claire, if it's the Claire I'm thinking about, is actually coming on one of the programs in the future. So excited to have you on this chat, Claire. Great. Anyone else have any other questions that you want to throw into the chat? Or you can also feel free to unmute yourself. For everyone who has their video on, thank you. Excited to see you all there. But yeah, I'll give a second for anyone to unmute themselves and ask a question.
I had a question. So how does the timeline breakdown looks like in terms of like traveling and working on the Capstone project?
Yeah. What was that like for you, Lionel? Like day to day, how much time were you in the classroom? How much time were you traveling? And how much time were you working on the Capstone project?
I can't remember specifically, but I do remember it being split 50-50 a lot. So, you know, some days we'd have like lectures in the morning, and then we'd given some free time in the actual university itself to work in our groups and, you know, just work on our capstone project. And then just some days, like I was talking about the adventure activities, you know, we would have a whole day for that. Yeah, so I think it is split 50-50. It's something like, I think you'd have fun one day doing the adventure stuff, and then I think you'd have some classes. But I'm not 100% on the like fine details or anything.
Yeah, I'd say in general, Claire, like the way that we're thinking about the programs is you've got 8 to 10 days and you're accomplishing a lot, right? So the mornings are going to look like being in the classroom for a couple hours, depending on the program. It could be 2 hours, it could be 0 hours if we're trying to get on a glacier hike. But we're hoping to have like 2 hours studying geothermal energy. And then you'll go to the industry and actually see the geothermal firsthand. And then you'll go to a geothermal energy run town and have lunch there so you can see it residentially. And then after that, we'll go hiking to the hot springs. So like trying to like bring that sort of story of seeing the full circle of it and apply it like the same day that you learn the material. It doesn't work out perfectly, but that's like our intent and goal. I will say, Claire, most people, if they have a negative thing to say about the green program, they say, I wish I had more time to work on my capstone project. And it's like, it's 8 to 10 days. If we work too much time on that, we wouldn't be visiting these incredible places as well. So the whole purpose of the capstone project is really to spark that idea, remind you that you're brilliant, have you sort of exercise your passions and interests, and be able to make I feel like you're making a change in a solution. That was a great question, Claire. Thank you. Do you have another one?
Thank you. Yeah, I think I have another one actually.
Cool, that's fine.
So like when you're done with the capstone project, what's the like, not end use, but do you keep it or do you present? So you present the capstone project to the whole group, right? As well as the lecturers at the university, I assume. And then I think that was my question.
Yeah, it's like, what does that presentation look like? Yeah, Lionel, who are you presenting to? Did you get feedback? What did the whole presentation look like for you?
Right, so we get marked on our presentation, and we make our slides. It happens like right at the end of the program. So all the groups in your big group, I guess, they present one by one. So there'll be 4 team members in a capstone project, and you know it's live streamed onto Facebook. And so we did it in the place we were staying. It's called Midgard, and so we didn't have professors there, but it was live streamed on Facebook. And the professors are watching, and your leaders are watching, and then at the end you get like a grade for how well you did. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, we do try to get that feedback from the professors as well, Claire.
Cool.
Yeah, it's exciting. Some of these people are like really big shot professors, and it's like, oh, I'm giving a presentation to them. It's exciting. I like it. Like, it's good to be challenged, right?
Yeah.
Claire, thanks for unmuting yourself. I appreciate that. I see a couple other questions that got sent to me in the chat, and then if anyone else wants to ask a question. But yeah, quickly responding. Marcus, I see you were asking about the modules, educational activities that you might need to complete before going on the program, and any prereqs. You do not need to have any prereqs to go on the green program. And actually, what we really recommend is that you care about sustainable development deeply, that it's something you want to learn about. And that's why we exist, is to provide you with that information. So an environmental science student came on our Nepal program and at first was like, I know nothing about electrical engineering. How am I supposed to design and implement a microgrid system? And so working with the cohort, working with the professors, our programs are designed so that you could walk in with nothing and still feel like you're able to bring yourself up to speed really fast and be involved. I see another question about financial support, options, scholarships. Yeah, so great. There are scholarships that happen through the Green program. And those come every so often, depending on a lot of factors. Some people will sponsor students and will give us money for scholarships. So yeah, I would recommend, if you're an accepted student, like, we'll send you all that information. So you'll get some scholarship info there. Otherwise, though, if there are any funding or scholarships available in your department, that's another great place that I recommend. I know in the chemical engineering departments and other ones too, is sometimes they have some funding to help support you there. But I think for the Iceland program, I think if you were to go there alone, the cost of the program would be like $16,000. So because you're going as a group, and it's like quite expensive, but because you're going as a group, we're able to sort of decrease that a lot. And each program is a little different, but on average, the price of the program is about $4,000. So yeah, you're going to feel like you're probably going to be pretty pushed to complete all of that in 8 to 10 days. And I think some people would say they think they could do it in like 3 weeks. But cool. We just have a couple minutes left, probably like 2 more questions. Does anyone else have other questions? Unmute yourself, things that are burning, things you want to talk to Lionel about. Meanwhile, we're so excited. We're just glad that you all care about sustainability. The fact that you got on this call demonstrates a lot. So I'm just excited for all of you, and that this is something you're exploring. And I'm happy to chat with any and all of you, as well as Lionel is. So yeah, we both of us would love to chat more if you just want to chat about the programs more. But yeah, any other questions?
Can I just ask, like, obviously these programs are quite established in the locations, but like, feel like, for professional development, is there any like focus on being foreigners coming into an international country and like understanding your social impact on the area and how you need to understand the communities that you're working in?
Yeah, Naomi, I love that question. I think what that really reflects is that you as an outsider do impact the local community. And in some ways, that's why we recognize it's impossible for you to visit a community without impacting it environmentally, social, economic, like all of those factors. So in our mind, we try to make as positive as an impact as possible. It's impossible to just be like a observer, right? You have to go to these places, experience it. And you'll see from the local people that live there that you're interacting with. I would say 3 things about impact. 1, environmental impact is if you do book a flight through one of our partners, we will offset those carbon emissions, as we're trying to be as carbon neutral as possible. It's not perfect, but it's something that we're trying to do. 2, we as a woman-owned business, we try to go into these places and find locally owned organizations, accommodations, food, and everything. Like, all of it is intentional. When you go to Iceland, you're not just staying in this hostel that's owned by someone in Spain. Like, it's going to be an Icelandic family that is going to be cooking you dinner one night. And we're trying to have that be like a local exchange. And they love teaching you some of the Icelandic culture and language and phrases. And we work with the community in Peru. We designed that program with the mayor. And at first, Naomi, the mayor, was like, I don't want you to see all of like the pollution and the ugly. Like, we want tourists to only see the happy, right? And so because we've developed these programs locally and with local leaders, that's why we're able to get a very real understanding. And if you were to travel to Cusco, you would miss all of this, like everything about their political, social, and other economic issues surrounding water. So in some ways, I do think that going with a program like the Green program allows you to make sure that your impact is more focused in a way that is benefiting, rather than you just being like, a more negative impact or just sort of feeding your dollars as a citizen, as a tourist, which, you know, we can have ethical and moral discussions about that on the program of like, is that okay sometimes? In what scenarios is it good? And what scenarios is it bad? So you can be sure to be talking about that. I hope that answered your question a little bit about social environmental impact.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I appreciate that thoughtfulness. And I think that that's something that I've spent a lot of time thinking about, and other people on the program too. Great. We probably have time for one more question. Anyone else, any other brave souls that want to ask a question here, can always send us an email. We sent your contact info. I'll send you an email after this. But yeah, any other questions for people that are excited about the program or anything else that you feel like we didn't cover? I'm okay with awkward silences. Cool. All right. Great. If you have other questions, Lionel, I know that he's happy to meet with all of you, any and all of you, about his experience, answer more questions in depth. You can also shoot me an email at johnjon@thegreenprogram.com. I'll send you all a follow-up email as well. Thank you for joining. I'm just like so excited again that you're all here, that you care about sustainability, that this is something you're interested in, and hopefully the Green Program is part of your future. If so, I'd say you have, you know, an entire day left ahead of you. I have to go to sleep, unfortunately. But for the rest of you, you know, take a look at that application. It's just thegreenprogram.com/apply. Fill it out. Just take that 20, 30 minutes. Like, it's non-binding, and just, you know, dream about any of these programs that you'd be excited about. And yeah, you're not committing to anything. And yeah, I'm just excited to read your stories, to hear more about who you are, why you care about sustainability, and what you hope to do. And if anything, at least we just get to have a conversation. I'm just excited to talk to all of you. So thanks again for joining us. Lionel, thanks for doing all the work to get everyone here. Give a big pat on the back to him. But yeah, it's been great talking to all of you. And Lionel, thanks again for sharing your story. I'm pumped to see you like grow and develop as a sustainability leader. And I see it every time we chat a little bit more and more. All right. Take care, everyone. It's great meeting you. I know some of you are behind no videos, but hi, bye. It was great seeing you. Take care, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.